The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is almost 8 years old now, and despite the shabby combat and bugs, it's still one of the best action RPGs ever made. It's also arguably the most detailed out there, full of little secrets, references, and bizarre occurrences. Let's take a look at more details that you probably didn't notice while playing it. Wabbajock. Remember when Sheogorath, the Daedric Prince of Madness, gave you the Wabbajock as a reward for completing his quest? Astute readers of Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass would no doubt have noticed that the name bears a resemblance to Jabberwocky, a creature from the book. The poem about the Jabberwocky is also fairly nonsensical, much like how the Wabbajock's random effects represent the madness of Sheogorath. Male werewolves. If you ever encountered a male werewolf and a female werewolf separately, you might not have noticed any substantial difference between them. As it turns out though, the males are taller. If looking at them side by side isn't possible, you can check the files themselves where male werewolves are coded to be 1.3 times larger than the females. Island of Beasts. Head out to the Sea of Ghosts and explore the various sheets of ice for a bit. It's pretty relaxing out there, until eventually you come across an ice block that has horkers, wolves, and goats on it. What's the big deal, you ask? Leaving aside how the wolves and goats even got there, these creatures are all minding their own business and coexisting until you arrive. They'll then proceed to attack each other because reasons, we suppose. ALVA'S Garden. Ah, the town of Morthal, full of political intrigue behind the scenes. A different conspiracy playing out involves Alva, who's eventually revealed to be a vampire. You eventually dispose of her in a quest, but one interesting detail surrounds her house. If you observe it from the outside, it's the only house to have Deathbell and Nightshade growing nearby. Both plants are only found in graveyards or around corpses, providing further proof of Alva's true nature. FULTHEIM. Put aside any thoughts about the Elder Scrolls Blades for a moment, and let's talk about the Blades themselves. The Blades previously protected the Emperors of Tamriel, and even served as the Dragon Guard, entering battle as the Dragon Crisis began. However, following the Crisis in Oblivion and the Great War, they were scattered to the winds. However, head over to the Nightgate Inn and you'll encounter FULTHEIM, a mysterious fellow who seemingly does nothing but drink. Upon inspecting FULTHEIM, he's carrying a Blades sword, and even has books related to the Blades in his room. A former member, perhaps? Most likely, since he'll attack the Dragonborn if Thalmor robes are worn due to the Blades being hunted by the Aldmeri Dominion. Fire on water. This is probably something you have noticed by now, but it's still pretty neat. When casting a fire spell near a small body of water, steam will start to rise. Stopping the spell will show you the water bubbling for a short time. It's nothing revolutionary by today's standards, but serves as another nice touch in Skyrim. Spellbreaker comments. The quest, The Only Cure, offers a very interesting reward in the form of Spellbreaker. This heavy shield can create a ward while blocking that protects against spells for up to 50 points. However, it's worth equipping just to hear the reactions of nearby guards. They'll say things like, "Your shield, it's dwarf-made, isn't it? But it seems so much more." And, "Ah, that's a fine shield, and not mere dwarven, is it?" Which makes sense because technically this is a Daedric artifact. Bleeding Wall. The city of Windhelm is fairly idealistic, save for a certain wall that bleeds. This isn't like something out of the Amityville Horror or anything, but if you walk up to the wall and start slashing it, blood comes out. Why does this happen? No one really knows, which only increases the creepiness behind it. Sweet rolls and carrots. Let's say you spared Cicero and made him a follower. Sure, he's insane and might kill you in your sleep, but listen to some of his random conversations. One involves wanting a sweet roll or some carrots to eat when hungry. Interestingly enough, during the Dark Brotherhood quest to assassinate the Emperor by poisoning his food, you can choose to add a sweet roll or a carrot as an ingredient to the meal in question. Why Cicero suddenly mentions these specific two things when hungry afterwards is not explained. Pickpocketing buff. When entering the city of Riften, you'll receive a quest from the Thieves Guild called a Chance Agreement. This involves stealing a gold ring and then planting it on someone to have them arrested. Interestingly, a significant buff to pickpocketing, roughly 30%, is provided to the player without their knowledge. Now imagine not completing the quest and just going out into the world to steal things, made all the easier with that buff. Uncommon Taste and Nutmeg. A popular cookbook in Skyrim is Uncommon Taste by the Gourmet, and it seems fairly unassuming. However, if you take a closer look at the recipes, you'll notice one calling for lots of nutmeg. Nutmeg, in the real world at least, is fairly poisonous and can be lethal in large doses. How everyone is still alive after preparing these dishes is another mystery entirely. HOAG and HOAGA. One interesting bit of lore can be found in a book about Rislav the Righteous, which speaks of HOAG the Elf Killer and how he became the High King of Skyrim. Those who played Morrowind may find the name familiar because in the Lessons of Vivek's Sermon 9, there's someone named HOAGA. He was described as a demon that killed dark elves with his voice, and was also called Mouth of Mud. The two interpretations are interesting to contrast, if nothing else. SOVNGARD'S Sentries. Visiting Sovngarde, your one priority may be to kill Alduin and prevent any potential world ending he could do. However, you'll eventually notice some large hooded statues staring down at you. What you probably didn't notice is that they move to constantly face the Dragonborn. Look away for a few seconds, look again, and try not to freak out when several statues are suddenly gazing upon you.
And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from GamingBolt, please hit the subscribe button. Also, don't forget to switch on the notifications bell icon next to it. That way you'll never miss any of our videos. Thanks for watching.